Looks like we're on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Hello, everybody. Carlton Pearson here, giving you a few minutes to get on board. I see you on Instagram. There's already people coming on. Let's see on Facebook. I don't see anybody yet. But you better be coming on in a minute. I guess we're on, right, Malachi?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I don't see the... Come on, cheering. We're going to talk about truth, reality, different realities, different truths, facts, information, misinformation, disinformation. I call it a communication disorder that's happening in our culture and country right now. We need to talk about that because there's so much confusion out there. And a lot of this confusion leads to it rips apart relationships. It hurts families. It drives some people to drink and drugs. And there are a lot of consequences around being in the dark and not knowing what you want to know, where you think you need to know. So that's why we're going to talk about it tonight. Okay, so I'm still waiting for Facebook folks to come on because I can't see that they're on. Instagram is, hey, it's Instagram, cheering. Malachi, I don't see that we're on Facebook, are we? Well, I don't see no people today.
Yes, they're already live. Are your notes up?
Okay, I was going to say something to them, but that's all right.
No, you are. Okay, I can show you right now. Here we go.
I'll do that then, I guess. Hey, hi, Stephanie. There you go. I just need to know somebody was out there because I can't see, but I see Steph's face. Hi, Stephanie. How you doing, baby? All right. What do you believe and why do you believe it? You've heard me ask that question many, many times. I usually say, what do you believe? Why do you believe it? How do those beliefs add to or subtract from the quality of your life? Sometimes I say, what do you believe about you? And why do you believe that about you? And how do those beliefs about you add to or subtract from the quality of your life? Believing is a lot because when you believe it, it becomes a reality, even if it isn't a reality. We have a serious information disorder in our country and in the world. Social media can be a very sick form of media, while also at the same time being a remarkably exceptional form of communication. We all use it. We've gotten used to it. Even people who were born in the 50s like me have gotten used to it. But because there's not yet any specific governmental regulations regarding it, social media tends to be and cause sometimes really wild and out of control social anarchy. We're experiencing that in the country right now. People fail to recognize that just because something isn't a lie doesn't mean that it isn't deceptive, inaccurate, or misguiding. It can be very true, very factual, but also be propagandizing, deceptive, inaccurate, and misguiding. There's never been a day in recent history when we need to be more careful about not only seeing, but sensing, about using the third eye or the sixth sense that goes beyond the five physical senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. There's that sixth sense that we have to depend on because there's too many choices out there. We really need to be, in the language that I was written, spirit-led. So thanks for joining me tonight to discuss ways to sort through and manage the information disorder occurring these days and remain responsibly in touch with reality. That's no small feat these days, only because reality itself can be a shocking and unnerving surprise. Reality does change. We will learn how to go within. You have to learn how to go within, or you'll end up having to go without. Sometimes a person is not what he or she thinks they are. They are what they're hiding. You're not what you think you are. You're really what you're hiding or sometimes harboring. It's what you're hosting inwardly. Same with a county or an institution or an organization. What are they hiding? And there's so much stuff being hidden from us. Even the Bible refers to spiritual wickedness in high places. I say hidden places. Spiritual wickedness in high places, and I add hidden places. And a lot of that's being unveiled today in the most unusual and sometimes shocking ways. But I want you to pay attention. Don't put your head in the sand. Excuse me. And say, "Oh, I can't send news. I don't want." Keep a hand on the pulse of the culture. Know which way the wind is blowing. Stay aware. Don't be afraid of fact or truth or reality, even if it's inaccurate. I've never heard from more people who are feeling disoriented and somewhat lost. They feel like they're not on the treadmill of life, but they feel like they're on the treadmill, but they're not getting anywhere. They're not making any progress. I've never seen more frustration than of late. They feel clueless about what to do next. Many people are they just don't get it. And I understand that some can't. You've got to be very intuitive, very aware, very awakened to know what to do. Some are filled with too many ideas, and they're confused about which path to choose. There's so many choices, from television stations to TikTok messages and there's billions of people that have access to these different sites. And so there's so many impressive presentations of the lie and the truth. And sometimes you simply cannot distinguish between the two if you don't know it. Sometimes you can sense something is inaccurate, and you should pay attention to your senses. Especially that sixth one. That is the more important one. I think in many ways is more important than the physical five senses. I remember Stevie Wonder telling me that he was glad he can't see with his natural eye, because he sees with his supernatural eye things that most of us never notice. His music, he's very metaphysical in the way he writes his lyrics, though he's been filled with the Holy Ghost for almost as long as I have. It's just, he came up around the Church of God in Christ, he told me. So the problem could be that many people are not seeing the forest for the trees. And so there's a lot of confusion out there. They see only small or abbreviated parts of a picture and are distracted, not so much by what they see, but by what they don't see. People are afraid of the unknown. If this is your personal dilemma, you're probably focusing too much on one or two distinct areas of life or specific problems instead of taking a holistic overview of everything that's out there. You can't compartmentalize and segregate thoughts and realities to the point that they become disintegrated. They've got to be integrated. Everything has to be included. Everything relates. Everything counts. I know you would wish you could remove the things you don't like. Me too, but that's just, you don't have that privilege. How you perceive that thing or how you respond and react to that, you're in control, but not of the thing itself. So again, somehow people are still believe that all things, I still believe after all these years, almost 7 decades, that all things really do somehow ultimately work in concert for and toward a larger orchestration of consciousness and relevance, that everything really does have its place. You need to respect that. Even personality, some people call them personality disorders. I call them personalities out of order. You got part of your personality is angry and frightful and suspicious and paranoid. One part is very solid and centered and stable and confident and trusting, trustworthy. But some part of you is very frightened, very afraid or frightened. Some very intimidated or feeling timidity or even cowardice. Others of you are very bold and courageous and confronting. We have all those personality traits working through us, and when they get out of order, we get out of order. So there's a time to be suspicious or curious or to question something, to query. There's a time to be doubtful about some things or to be double-minded about it. One is D-O-U-B-T, the other is D-O-U-B-L-E. To doubt is to double back and forth when you're not sure. It's all right to sort through that a little bit. You don't have to be confident every second of the day, but you do have to have the tools and the technology to navigate through these things, beginning with what you sense as well as what you see. So people want to trust, but they don't know who, when, or what to trust anymore. Deception and or deceiving has become the accepted norm for many. Even dating sites can't be fully trusted. Varying reports about the virus or the vaccination has millions of Americans and really around the world insecure and indecisive about what or whether to do anything personally regarding the varying instructions out there. There's so much out there, people telling us all kinds of things And we tend to believe what we want to or what appeals to us the most. But what you believe and receive, you experience. Also, what you fear most, you ultimately experience. But by what you faith most, you ultimately experience. This is the way life is. The entire election fraud lie has been proven to be just that, a lie, but still millions of Americans from all sectors of the country, including some of the most affluent and influential within our culture, still believe the lie. They choose to believe the lie because they want to believe the lie. That's a serious cause for concern. It has been said that there is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. Isn't that interesting? There's nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. Perception is the ultimate reality, but not necessarily the ultimate truth. I've said that for 30 years. Perception is the ultimate reality, but not necessarily the ultimate truth. So truth has very many moving parts to it. It is not stagnant. It has motions and momentum. And what's true right now could be, or factual right now, could be different in the next few seconds. I'm sure you get my drift. I've alluded to this off and on, but I'm addressing it now because I'm noticing that the confusion is pretty much epidemic and almost pandemic. Information, disinformation, and misinformation is rampant out there, and millions have no idea what to believe anymore. You may be one of them. Few things seem to sound right, while some things actually do sound right. Few things seem to be right, and yet there are other things that you just know in your knower are right. It's confusing to many. But confusion seems to be an objective to those in power who create, target, and spread it as a strategy to weaken anything united about our 50 states. America has never been more divided, never been more confused. Family members can't hardly get along. The polarization within the home, within the marriage, family reunions, sitting around the dinner table can be difficult anymore. Some people just won't talk about politics. They won't talk about the pandemic because both areas have so much confusion around them. I love the scripture. It's an old slogan that together we stand, divided we're stuck. Together we stand, divided we fall. But I say together we stand, divided we're stuck. We're like stagnant. We can't move forward because there's so much disunity. This is an election year for midterms. People are wrestling, even the politicians. There's so much, as I've been telling you, things are going to be unveiled, and a whole lot more is coming out between now and the end of this year. A lot's coming out on people and about people, especially those in powerful positions, influential positions that have been getting by with a lie and deception for decades, maybe centuries. It's like the universe is unveiling, revealing, exposing what needs to be expelled. The universe herself is cleansing and clearing and correcting herself. I've been saying that, and I said at the beginning of this year that there would be a lot of unveilings already. Just with the January 6th thing, that's just part of it's the tip of the iceberg. There are things about preachers, about prominent leaders, organizations and institutions that have gotten by with extortion and extorted ways of thinking and doing and functioning for years. That's going to come. And it's not, quote unquote, as some religious folk, the judgment of God would say. I think it's the universe correcting herself, fixing some stuff that needs to be fixed or addressed. Some things don't need to be combated. They just need to be confronted. Other things need to be both confronted and combated. So information is what is conveyed or represented by a particular arrangement or a sequence of things. Misinformation is false or inaccurate information, especially that which is deliberately intended to deceive. Sometimes it's hard to tell between the two. Then disinformation is false information, which is intended to mislead, to misguide, especially propaganda that's all over television, all over the internet. And this propaganda may be issued by a government organization or a rival power or media. That's what Russia has been doing since before Donald Trump was elected, and maybe prior to that. I know when the Trump got in, Putin got in, Russia got in, the disinformation, the propagandizing, all the way up to millions of people are dead. Hundreds of thousands have died because they thought the virus wasn't real, or they thought the vaccine was not worth their time, or that the vaccine was further infecting them. And it might be. We take all kinds of orthodox medicines, over the counter, prescription drugs. People are full of toxicities, toxins, and poisons. I detox regularly, but you have to detox not only physically, but mentally, psychologically, sometimes spiritually. Sometimes religion can be very toxic. Politics can be very toxic. Regular disputes in marriages and homes can be very toxic. PMS, power, money, and sex, can destroy any marriage. Is always an issue in most of them. So because misinformation, disinformation adds to information, and information is there, and you have to trust that it's true and fairly accurate, if not untrue or inaccurate. We're presently traversing a powerful shift in global and planetary consciousness. I sense it as much as I ever had, and really more than I ever have in my entire life. Many are doing this unconsciously. They sense it, they're aware unconsciously. They're unconsciously conscious or consciously unconscious. To be conscious simply means to be aware of and responding to one's surroundings or environment. Consciousness is to be awake or awakened, or to be awake and to still be awakening to further information, and sometimes defamation or deformations. You can see deformities out there. You are aware of the information and the disinformation, the misinformation, and the deformities out there. Informed and deformed, things that are reformed, reconfigured, changing, and happening so fast. Again, it's hard to keep up. So you have to be more meditative. I call it consecrated, prayerful, thoughtful, serious, sincere, curious, not paranoid, but investigative, interrogative. There are interrogatives out there. You can interrogate your own self, excavate, dig deep, and go find out what's under the soil or under the soul of your feet and of your faith, and find out what all that stuff means. Unfortunately, there are many sleepwalkers who move through life completely unconscious, completely unaware, and are desensitized to reality as it evolves consistently and insistently. Reality evolves consistently and insistently. Reality is the world or state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional ideal about them. And it's hard to tell between the two. You sort through, you sift through, you discern, you decipher, you sift until the truth becomes more evident to you. So reality is not stagnant and stale. It isn't. It remains in motion. It keeps up a momentum. To evolve is to develop gradually, especially from a simple to a more complex form. Life is doing that, and it does it as we live. Time brings out details that we may not have noticed before. It's taken hundreds of years for some of the things that are about to be unveiled. Planetarily, not just here in America, but everywhere. As we, as human beings grow, we change, we shift, we evolve, we mature. So does life itself and all its various realities and worlds and universes. It just keeps evolving and expanding. That's just the way life is. And those who are curious and interested in life grow and expand while you're expelling in life. I've expelled a lot over the last nearly 7 decades. I've expanded a lot. I've been exposed to a lot. I do ask myself some of the hard questions. I answer those questions, and then I question my answers. I love the question. There's a lot of energy and adventurism and curiosity in the question. Sometimes the question is more important than the answer. When you get the answer, you stop asking sometimes and you stop growing. But as long as you have the question out there. So don't be so freaked out if you seem not to understand something or to be unsure or insecure. It'll all work out in time. Don't put a period where the universe has a comma. And be careful how and when you use exclamation points and magnify and amplify things that don't need amplification or magnification. You make them too big. We used to call it making a mountain out of a molehill, something small. So anyway, galaxies, and there's as we as humans grow, we expand to different realities, and as I said, different universes, different galaxies. There's a galactic cosmological shift occurring astrologically in the heavens. Things that haven't happened, constellations and positions in the stars and planets are occurring that haven't in over 100 years and won't for another 108 or so years. There's a shift going on out there. So galaxies are vast collections of stars that populate our universe. But how many galaxies are there? We're only learning. We thought there was one. Now we're finding out there's 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. That's what they found as early as 2020. 2 trillion galaxies. And ours is vast. Ours has thousands of moons and planets. Each galaxy is unique, ranging in size from 10,000 light years to hundreds of light years. We'll never reach them, too far away. In other words, we're talking about infinity. We're living in infinity. Infinite means without finish. There is no end. Everybody's waiting for the end of the world. It'll never happen the way you think. There will be some pauses and some stops, but no ends as far as the cosmos goes. The cosmos will always exist. The galaxies and planets, they shift around, and there's so many out there. And as our knowledge expands, the Hubble telescope and just scientists and archaeologists and astrologists and astronomers, they're finding out new stuff every day. They don't even tell us a lot of stuff they know, because that's how fast information is coming. So we must learn to and how to plug into the higher timelines and time targets of existence in these changing times. We must plug in to the higher timelines. They will find you, timelines. They will find you as you look for them. As an inclusionist, it's impossible for me not to be interested in the theory of a multiverse, which is a hypothetical group of realities or multiple universes. It's just that if there's 2 trillion galaxies, we probably are not the only living entities in existence. I think that there are extraterrestrials out there and extracelestials, heavenly entities. I think the science is out there. The Pentagon has already pretty much told us that they're verified UFOs, unidentified flying objects. I know there's some unidentified lion objects out there. And that's what I'm drawing attention to tonight, because there's a whole bunch of unidentified lying objects and objectives out there. That's about to be unveiled. So together, these universes comprise, and there are many of them, everything that exists. Everything that exists. All these universes, remember, and all these galaxies and all these realities, they comprise everything that exists. The entirety of space. The entirety of time, of matter, of energy, of information, and the physical laws and constants that describe them. It's all out there. And this stuff is peeking at us and peeping into us and creeping into us, if I could use that terminology. It's like a knowing is there. People are saying, why? This is weird. I feel different. I feel stretched and stressed, and I'm expanding even without I'm not doing it deliberately. I'm not doing it intentionally. It's just happening. Another way to perceive this concept is the belief and or possibility of varying realities, many of which overlap each other and remain connected in their essences. All these galaxies, all these realities, all these different lives. So somebody says, oh, that was another life. It's like we do have several lifetimes. I believe both in pre-incarnation, that we existed before we were incarnated or in flesh, that we came here knowing, and then between the womb and the tomb, started forgetting what we know and believing what we're told. And that's when we got screwed up here, because we start listening to what we were told and teaching that. And as the further away we got from our mother's womb, the more we forgot the original essence of who we are and what we're becoming. And I think that the universe is pausing to say, okay, let's go back to the original thought that sponsored your existence in this reality. What energy was sent out into the universe when you got here, when you slid down your mother's birth canal, popped that on a table or in a bathtub, if you did it in water or somewhere, and light was in your face, and maybe the doctor in my day would have popped you on the butt and made you inhale. So because in the womb, you don't need oxygen and there is none, so you don't breathe. But once you get out, you have to go from just treading water to breathing. I think as we evolve in life, the different environments develop something in us to capacitate the environment and to facilitate that reality. You're not alone. The different universes within the multiverse are called parallel universes, or other universes, or alternative universes, or many or magic worlds. I think they're out there. And I think in addition, because again, knowledge is spreading so fast, different things are occurring at a speed we can't really calculate. Even without awareness, we're becoming more aware of our cosmic citizenry. There's just this, you just know it. You don't have an explanation. You can't explain. You just know that you are a citizen in the cosmos. More than at any other time in human history, the East is meeting the West with less hostility and more curiosity and intrigue. There is an element in art that doesn't want to expand. Those are the ones that do the January 6th type things, and they want, I often use, and some people hate that I'm always referring to Trump, because Trump has really infected our culture and brought it into defections that I'm pointing out so we can correct it. But this whole idea of fake news, part of that's true. And now we're seeing that it is, but it threw us all off to we don't know what to believe. And that ambiguous state leads to anarchy and confusion. You're going to hear a lot more of mass gun shootings. You're hearing them every day because we put the guns in the hands. We put it in the consciousness, and people are very gun conscious. And it's almost irresponsible today not to have a gun or a license for a gun. So people, it's a trend now. There's over 400 million guns out there. We only have 300 some million citizens in America. But people are ready for a fight. They're getting the guns because they're planning to shoot them. And they're going to be doing it more randomly, more regularly over the next several months and maybe years, because people are so tense with confusion and mental illness and psychosis, until even people you know, love, and trust are snapping or will snap. I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to be negative, but it's going to happen. More than any other time, as I said, in human history, the East is meeting the West with less hostility and more curiosity. Plurality and integration is replacing separation, segregation, and ethnic intimidation. The TV commercials, notice how many, all these, there are thousands of them that come on every day. Integrated couples, Asians, Africans, Caucasians, Hispanics. Now you see a lot of gay couples, same gender loving couples on all the commercials. The children that are born in this day over the last several years are seeing a different world than the one I was born in 1953 or 70 years ago. It's common to see same gender loving couples. It's common to see integrated couples. Don't even look like they have anything in common. An African gentleman that looks a lot different in the way he presents himself than the white counterpart or his spouse, or vice versa. It's like they're showing integrated gay couples, Asians and East Indians and Anglos and Europeans. And it's just, I think it's wonderful to see all this beautiful diversity. And I'm not intimidated by any of it. I would have been. The people that say make America great again, are actually thinking subconsciously make America hate again legally. So anybody you don't like or that you hate, you can extricate or kill or gun down or incarcerate. That's happening. This ethnic cleansing mentality is still. Many people are very upset about the southern border with thousands of non-Americans coming in who are not white, even though we have some finally coming in from Ukraine who are white, and they're getting in a lot easier and faster than Mexicans and Asians and people of color. There's a lot of prejudice on the border. The whole conservative movement seems to be steeped in bigotry and prejudice, racism, misogyny, homophobia. That conservative group does not want change. So it itself is imploding. You're going to hear a lot of news about conservative ministers and ministries full of rot. They're imploding now. That means it's underground. But when it explodes, it'll become public. You'll be stunned by it and stung by it. But you'll survive. We all will. We have to. We're going to. We're designed to. We're called and coded to. This is a generation of watching the shift. It's a time when both the craziness and magic, which is itself a kind of craziness, occurs. It's a time for craziness. It's a time for magic. Based on our attitude of ascension and or descension, your experience of this particular time in human history can be vastly different. If you had an attitude of descension, going down, or the attitude of ascension, moving up, elevating your consciousness, that'll determine whether you're going up or down, how you experience and express yourself in this particular time of change. We must all accept that a time of purging, cleaning, and clearing is part of the transition to the new wholeness that will upgrade our species. Clearing, cleansing, and correcting is going to keep happening. There will be extended periods of a sense of inconvenience and awkwardness. You're going to feel clumsy for a while because you want to know what to hold, if to hold, when to hold, where to hold. Because the new somewhat appears as night when vision is less clear. And we must decide not to fear the unknown or the less known. That's a decision you have to make in the middle of the unknowns. Instead of being afraid and suspicious of the unknown, be embraced by it, embrace it. Respect the unknown. Embrace it and allow it to embrace you while loving the question more than the answer, or at least not as much as the answer. Love the question because the growth is in the question. It's in the adventure. That's where the expansion is. Ask the question, as I said earlier, answer the question, and then question the answer because the facts change. The sunlight is dimmed during this time of change, so we will have to depend on the lesser light, which is the moon, which is nature's night light. It's dark out. I'm not supposed to see as clearly, and you aren't either when it's dark. Even with I have those solar lights in my yard, so the sun empowers them, and at night they all pop on, but they're not bright. They just are noticeable. There's a lot of things that are not going to be bright and clear. They're just going to be noticeable. And you need to somewhat make note of them, even the ambiguity of it, that you don't have all the clear facts. Don't be afraid of not knowing everything. You don't have to know everything. We shouldn't expect to see as clearly nor have the more detailed view of the times since it's not daytime as much as it is night. This is a sort of what ancient Jews used to call the bewitching hours between 3 and 6 a.m. We're at that bewitching hour cosmologically in the cosmos. This is a time between like 3 in the morning and 6, and nobody's stirring. But I have my most graphic and articulate visitations, dreams, visions, visitations between 3 and 6 in the morning. It's been that way with me probably most of my life. It's just somehow. And we're at that one of those times cosmically. We're in that bewitching hour and things are about to come out. See the madness as magic, something that always operates suspiciously. Magic. See the madness as magic. The scriptural passage regarding the Magi, or the 3 wise men, or 3 kings, is a reference to members of a priestly caste of ancient Persia. They were astrologers who read and understood the signs and signals of the zodiac. And they saw the star over the place where the king of the Jews was supposed to be born. That would be Jesus. They were distinguished foreigners in the Gospel of Matthew and in Christian tradition, the Magi. They were considered enlightened and even mystical individuals. We must be that too. There's something coming from the East. Some of the Eastern religions that we would have called cults, certain aspects of Buddhism, certain aspects of Zen Buddhism and Hinduism, and religions that predate Christianity by thousands of years. Certain mystical and mythical realities are out there, and they're invading this society and becoming part of it. Whether people wear the mullahs, or they wear these energy bracelets, or they have a little Buddha in their house. The word Buddha is was born on the Bodhi tree, which means enlightenment. I think Jesus may have met his own Buddha or became one for us as an enlightened entity. Jesus was more enlightened than his religious counterparts, and by the laity than the laity to whom he spoke. He went away for 18 years, from age 12 to age 30. We have no idea where Jesus, called Christ, was, or with whom he was. Whether he was in Egypt or India or someplace in the Far East, we don't know. He could have been studying in ashrams and meeting shaman and gurus, because he was that. He was a metaphysician. I know that upsets some of you folks. Jesus, y'all don't know that. We don't know that much about Jesus. And what we do know is in scriptures. And a lot of it's not verifiable, except in the scriptures. Take that and smoke it in your peace pipe. You religious zealots are on here freaking out. That means we're getting to you. You're slamming it before you even understand it. The one thing that has bothered me the most in my whole Christian fundamentalist Pentecostal world is the stupidity that's out there. Some of the sweetest, kindest, most generous people I know are just stupid. I mean, they're just crazy. And they don't mean to be. And not many of them are members of my family over the years. I was one of them for many years. We just did stupid stuff and believed stupid stuff and said stupid things. It's like our senses were, as the scripture refers to, seared conscience. We had no conscience. So there may be the new thought expanded consciousness advocates of the first century. These magi may have been, these wise men. They were knowers, and they might have been the advanced enlightened thinkers of the first century. What we call new thought is nothing more or less than ancient wisdom, wisdom. A person who knows how to do a thing can always have a job. The person who knows why to do that thing will usually be his or her boss. I heard Donnie Mears say that in DC years and years ago. So-called new thought or expanded consciousness, again, is nothing more than ancient wisdom. The universe herself is opening up powerfully to us in both cosmology and consciousness. The universe is revealing herself, her secrets. The new knowing is occurring, and we all sense it, even though we don't all directly see it. Many both see and sense it. I've been personally experiencing this shift, this change, this enlightenment for the last 20 plus years. People continue to ask me, when am I coming back to where they are, or where I used to be, or where they want me to be? I'm not coming back. My dear friend Ron Gibson, Bishop Ron Gibson, sort of prophesied that I was coming back and I would win more souls than I don't think I'll win souls. I think I'll make souls aware that they're already saved and just don't know it. I think that's what the good news is, that any issue between humans and God was resolved in Christian consciousness. It was resolved in the Christ, in the finished work of the cross, that all sin and sinners were atoned for. If you're going to believe the Christian doctrines, the main thing is about the death and resurrection of Christ. And in that death and resurrection was the magic and miracle of redemption, that all of humanity was redeemed back to God. And we Christians are busy telling folks they need to get saved instead of telling them that they're already saved and safe with God. Some people feel like they're saved, but they don't feel safe with God or safe from God's judgment. I have many loved ones that die, sweet, precious members of my family that I love like my own soul, died in doubt, wondering if they would make it, if there was not one thing that they had done that God would hold them responsible for. So people continue to ask me, when am I coming back? I'm not. I'm just not coming back. I'm going forward. They want to know why I changed my mind. And my answer is I didn't change my mind. My mind changed me. A changed mind is what really repent, metanoia. Meta is to change the mind. Now, the thinking, to reconsider, literally to rethink or think what you thought anew. Or after you think again. That can happen. Are you ready to stretch to your next level of consciousness? Are you ready to experience an aspect of yourself and of the universe that you never would have or could have? Are you ready to be excited anew? A lot of people are so bored. They feel intoxicated with a spirit of dumb. Nothing moves them anymore. They don't, not church. Occasionally they'll have a favorite worship song or a favorite song, but it's not going all the way down that satiates the soul. That's coming in the new spiritual paradigm. That's coming as a part of the new reality of which all of us are participants and will be. Listen, I love you. I'm going to stop. I've gone, how long? About 40 minutes. I try to keep it under 45 minutes these days. There's a whole lot more I can say about this. I'm going to post the latter part of what I said for tomorrow so people can read it and be aware. And just think about it. You can listen to these many, many times over. They're all archived on my YouTube page, either Carlton Pearson or Bishop Carlton Pearson, either way. Also, those of you who would like to cash app a response to tonight's teaching, please do that at Carlton D. Pearson, $ New Dimensions 2. It's on the screen there. $ New Dimensions with an S 2. One word, New Dimensions. My middle name is Demetrius. It means different angles and angels or messages in consciousness to expand the way you measure yourself and your soul and your syncopations in life. That's New Dimensions, $ New Dimensions 2. Or you can use PayPal. That's on the screen. Zelle, some send money through Zelle. Then there's Text to Give, which permanently puts your information in. And so then all you have to do is just text your amount of giving every week. It's very, very easy, and you'll get an immediate response. Anyway, let me hear from you. Any of you, all of you listening or who will listen. If you catch this in post or go back to the archive, you can send a love offering. I like to call it a love offering or an expression of love or light, any way you want to. I ask everybody to give at least 10 when they watch each time. Of course, that's $40 a month if the same people give 10. It doesn't have to be the same people. How about giving 100? For the year, 120, that's $10 a month for 1 year. I get the whole 120 thing from the idea of there were 120 on the day of Pentecost. I've now created the Metacostal movement, which is people who love metaphysics, but also treasure their transcendent experiences in Pentecost. And so that's when we launched the network, and I was just talking with a brilliant young preacher. I say young, he's in his 50s out there in California, Antoine. And he's ready to help me with the network as well as others. I love you. I care much for you. I always say God bless you, and I always like to say God be you, because when that happens, you have reached your next level of consciousness, and you realize your own divine self and how important it is for you to be divine and feel divine, if not refined. All that can happen in very special ways. Well, I care so much. The best is yet to come for all of us. Let's keep moving forward. And thank you for your time. And thank you for your attention. Let me hear from you. Dimensions 2. Okay? Thank you so much. God bless you. I didn't.